when you face a team and a player like TJ Watt, how do you balance taking care of him as much as you can while running your offense? I mean, you can't let him wreck things, but you have to run your offense. How do you balance that?
Yeah, it's one of the key questions in this league for every offensive coordinator, every offensive staff, because in this league there are these just phenomenal players on some of these defenses, and TJ Watt certainly one of those. We got to know where he's going to line up and how he's likely to align within their scheme. Sort of what his role is likely to be defensively each play, and how we can go best attack the defense. Just like you said, I mean, shoot, you nailed it. How can we best attack the defense while also sort of having awareness of this great player out there and sort of trying to limit his impact. And in this league, there are guys that are very, very high level good players, and you got to really pay a lot of attention to them offensively, at least coaching wise, as we're sort of prepping for these guys, making sure we know how we're setting this whole thing up and how we got a good game plan. Then we put our guys in the best position to go succeed. And then when we're out there, our guys just have to go execute their jobs. And ultimately, for our guys, they ought to go play ball. And whatever the job is on that play, the job will be. But we sure kind of take pride in evaluating each defense that we play and the great players on the defenses that we play and trying to minimize their impact, like you said. Easier said than done sometimes. Like I said, TJ's a phenomenal player, has been for a long time. But we'll certainly have a plan for him.
Thanks, Jim Bob.
Nate?
Hey, Jim Bob. After the game, Anthony said his focus is going to be on figuring out why he's missing some of these layup type throws, guys that are wide open. He's mentioned that he just feels like he gets excited seeing a play that's about to work, and it seems like he's leaving his feet in those moments. What are you seeing out of just some of those throws, and how do you go about getting that corrected?
Yeah, I think it's something that'll get better and better with repetitions. Anthony kind of sort of answered that already for us, but sometimes when you see that guy pop open and as we know, those windows shrink fast in this league, and here's a throw I can make, and I'm going to get it in there. And sometimes you do speed up a little bit, and that is something that can and will improve with reps, improve with time. We got, we've seen a ton of great throws from Anthony, and we're gonna go have another great week of practice, and we'll work through all the stuff that we got to work through offensively to be a little bit more productive to help the team win. But I'm not going to get it, quarterback sort of technique things and all that stuff. We'll talk through all that, whatever we need to talk through behind closed doors here. But Anthony, he's gonna go out there and play ball, and we'll keep working with him, getting him those reps, and we're really confident that good things are coming each week.
James?
Jim Bob, obviously JT's had back-to-back weeks with big games. We know the kind of player he is. How can having a guy like that in the backfield just help Anthony developing, I guess, give him some more time or take some pressure off of him when you got that dude next to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's good for our whole offense. It's good for our whole offense. JT obviously had a big game, and the O-line and really tight end group also really blocked, and receivers, everybody was blocking really well to get that thing going, and JT made those great runs, and that was cool to see. In this league, when you're a very high percentage run or very high percentage pass, defenses can tend to zero in on those things and make it a little bit tougher. So if the run game is operating pretty well, then that should make the pass game open up just a little bit, and vice versa. When you have, we've all seen teams before where the run game isn't going very well, and they're really leaning on the pass, and the defense knows that, and the defense is able to sort of lean back on them schematically the way that defenses do. So the run game and the pass game work together. We'd love to get everything humming at full capacity, but that's the NFL season. There'll be these little ups and downs each week. The important thing is that we find a way as a team to go out there and get that win. And then obviously offensively, for me, just doing whatever we can to put our guys in the best position to go have that success that helps our team get the win. So JT, really great game, and he's been playing at a high level. And just want to throw some credit to the O-line and tight ends and receivers. The way they were blocking for some of those runs was really cool too.
Joel?
Jim Bob, you always hear people talk about giving quarterbacks easy throws, young quarterbacks easy throws. I think usually people kind of mean short throws, but is that maybe not telling the whole picture of what it means to give a quarterback an easy throw for him?
I think as we're game planning everything, we're intending for most of the plays to work in a manner in which we're going to have a first or a second or maybe a third read that is open, depending on what kind of defense we're playing and things like that. We are sort of cognizant of, hey, you're throwing the ball deep, you're throwing the ball intermediate, you're throwing the ball short. You don't want to do all of one thing and none of the other, because in the same manner, some of the other earlier questions, defenses can hone in on that. So we're trying to sort of evaluate our guys, evaluate the defense that we're playing and the schemes that we think will have the best success against them. And then sort of go out there and practice them, see what looks the best in practice, and go sort of let it rip on game day. So each week that's going to be a little bit different. Easy sort of pass plays, or sometimes easier said than done. These guys tend to clamp down on you pretty quick once they figure out what you're doing. So it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game for all of us.
JJ?
Jim Bob, being a primarily zone running team, how critical is Jonathan Taylor's patience and acceleration to kind of press some of those holes and then be able to hit them when they're there?
Yeah, I think it's a really unique strength of his. He's a phenomenal running back, just all around. We can sing his praises all over the place, but zeroing in on sort of what you said, some of those holes in the zone running game, maybe they develop later in the process, or a linebacker reacts to something he sees from JT, and that opens up maybe a front side gap a little later than maybe you would expect. He's got quite the knack for seeing that, feeling that, and then acceleration once that decision's made, once that read is made for him, is like no other. Right? He hits top gear and gets rolling. So it's a unique, obviously brand of strengths that JT has, which we're going to, sort of try to keep putting them in good position to make those run reads and read them out. And our guys up front block them up. And the defense is going to try to make it hard on us. And we got a great opponent coming in here this week that's going to do just that, or try to do just that. So we got to put in a great week's work to sort of put our best foot forward week after week, right? We got 17 of these things, and every week's a different challenge. So looking forward to this one. Going to be fun.
As a follow-up, Jim Bob, how much trust does a running back have to have in his offensive line to sustain their blocks, and then the offensive line to having their running back to make them right on their blocks on those plays?
Yeah, it does have to go both ways. I've been around situations before where maybe the trust wasn't there, and now certain running backs will try to make a read or make a cut because they don't trust that the front is going to be blocked the way they think it should or would. A well-oiled offense, a well-oiled run game. Gosh, you would want those guys to really be on the same page, trusting each other. And our O-line and our running backs are doing a great job of that right now. Our O-line is finishing run blocks. The down's not over till the whistle, and they're going to keep blocking them. And JT and our other backs are really taking advantage of that by working through their run reads, working through their cuts, working through their footwork. And then obviously we're competing against that defense like crazy. They're competing against us. But it's a lot of things offensively. It's really, really good for you to trust your teammates and be on the same page with your teammates. And there were some really good examples of that in the Chicago game, in the run game in particular.
Stephen?
Hey, Jim Bob. I don't know how much you guys pay attention to these sort of trends league-wide, but we were looking at some numbers, and like the passing numbers so far, at least through three games, are down like 40 yards a game, which seems like a pretty significant chunk over like the last 10 years. And rushing numbers are up a little bit. So I don't know. Do you pay attention to that stuff at all? Number one. Number two, do you have any inkling what might be at work here?
Yeah, good question. Those are we have a little more brain space during the off season than we do
Right.
a game week to get those big trends. But we have heard certain things. We do sort of notice bigger trends like that. I can't tell you exactly what the why is, because obviously each group is different. But I will say that, a bunch of years ago, teams were really heavy running teams in this league, and maybe the formations looked a little bit different, a lot more two back, those type of things. And there was an advantage in throwing the ball, or at least, you could chop the numbers up, and the analytics and all that would tell you should throw it more, right? On first, second down, some of those situations that had traditionally been running situations in the league. So I think people took advantage of that offensively and leaned on it a little bit more. And as so often happens, defenses adjust, right? And they're realizing that some teams are throwing it more in certain situations. So maybe they're playing the pass a little bit more in those situations. So
Right.
It's another one of those cat and mouse games. Sometimes it's interesting in this league what happens on a week by week basis in that sort of cat and mouse manner, which a lot of that is sort of we're game planning somebody right now, and they're game planning us, and here we are. We're trying to figure out what they think we're going to do, and blah blah blah, vice versa. The really interesting ones are the long-term trends like that. What are 32 different offensive and defensive coordinator / play callers putting together in the offseason, working through, emphasizing? It's really a fascinating question to dive into. I'm sure there's a lot of work going on out there to try to figure it out to get ahead. But it's fun to think through. But ultimately, for us, we get to lock in on these Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've been so good on defense this year, and they've been so good on defense there for such a long time that we got our hands full studying them a little bit more than the long-term trends. But it is an interesting thing that's happened, and I would say, like most trends, there'll probably be a little ebb and flow with it, and you may see it sort of go back and forth as the year goes. But it'd probably be a fascinating study. I'm looking forward to kind of hearing where you end up on it.
All right. Appreciate it.
We'll take our last two. We have George, and then we'll go Nate to wrap it up.
Jim Bob, both Quentin Nelson and Jonathan Taylor kind of said after the game Sunday that maybe Anthony's vision, his ability to read a defense, it might be a little bit beyond his years right now. As he struggles with his ups and downs on the field, as was expected, how much does that vision, that element of his game, maybe help him develop as an overall quarterback and help him make plays?
Yeah, I think it's critical, for a young quarterback to sort of see what's going on in the field, be able to respond and react to it. And Anthony's done a great job when he comes back to the sideline. Sometimes after a drive, we have that surface there. We're going through the pictures, and he can tell you exactly what happened on the play. He saw this defender do this, and this happened up front, and he made this change, or he made this communication. So he's able to talk through that. The league is gonna make a young quarterback learn a lot of lessons. That's a part of this NFL thing, and Anthony's really coming along learning those things. He sees things well. He responds to what he sees. He's able to adjust within a game. Sometimes, we're just talking about simple pass concepts or whatever, and let's do that some more, and maybe let's not do that quite as much. And when you ask him the why, he's got a why that has to do with something he's seeing out there on the field, which is it's a good trend. Anthony's really on top of that stuff, and it'll only get better as he continues to get the reps, as he continues to sort of go through these battles in the league. So it's a good thing.
Then last question, Nate.
Jim Bob, AD Mitchell didn't get to play as much this past week, but you also had Josh Downs back. But the situation you have right now, the other receivers in that room, does it give you an opportunity to maybe slow some things down for AD just in his rookie year, let him not feel the pressure of having to produce? And how does he work through some of the struggles that have happened so far?
Yeah, we getting Josh back, it does change the amount of reps that are going to be sort of had by different receivers in that room. That's a part of it. Josh Downs is a really good player, and we're real happy to have him back. AD, you know, there's been some really good routes out there. There's been some really good plays out there. Sometimes just by game plan, sort of the way things go within a first half or within a game, different guys get emphasized more or less. And you know, for all of us, we just got to sort of show up and keep doing our job, which AD's practicing hard. He's going through practice. He's going through his individual, you know, opportunities will come. I'm really confident that AD is going to really make some huge plays for us this year. And I think all our guys are, but we've got some guys in that receiver room playing really good football right now that are putting, you know, good routes on tape, putting good sort of blocking on tape in the run game, all that stuff. You know, we can't have enough guys playing good football, and everybody's opportunity is going to come. Sometimes it's a different week. Sometimes you can't even predict, right? People try to ask me sometimes who I think is going to have a big week. You never can predict, right? We got all these good plays on the sheet. You know, the Steelers are game planning for us. Terrell Austin's game planning for us right now. And, you know, he's going to have some tricks for us. And that's going to maybe adjust our game plan mid-game. That's how things go. So all our guys got to be ready with our game plan plays. And, we're looking forward to letting all of them get their opportunities. And like I said, AD's doing a nice job. We're real confident he's gonna have a good year for us and make some big plays.